Hello everyone, it's Richard Lewis here with another video, and it's the day after PEA, that's the Professional Esports Association, a conglomerate of North American teams, brands, organizations, whatever you want to call them. They've announced the departure of their commissioner, Jason Katz. This is the confirmation of that over on the WWG website. They announced that he's out. And indeed, it's something that couldn't come too soon, in my opinion. As I told all of the fine gentlemen within PEA at the time, Jason Katz is a wartime general. He knows who to fight. Spoiler, it's everybody. He'll lead you into that battle telling you you're going to win. He doesn't care so much for hearts and minds. He cares very much about casualties on the battlefield. And unfortunately, I mean, he's a charlatan. He's not a very good general. He maybe gives great rallying speeches, but he doesn't win many fights. I mean, if you look at his CV, there's not a lot of wins on there, right? A lot of losses, actually. In fact, almost entirely. So I did warn him. I did tell him. But the good news is that means, that kind of chapter in PA's history is over. If I was them, I'd kill the project entirely. I think it's universally failed to achieve anything it set out to do. People, the public aren't going to support them. Companies don't want to work with them. It's done. Just wrap it up. You tried. It's over. But that isn't what this video is about. This video is about esports politics in general. I'm going to use some specific examples. Because, as I'm getting older and a bit longer in the tooth, I'm kind of just, there's no real way to describe it. I just don't give a fuck. I just don't care about the lies and the webs. I just want to get up, do my thing, and go to bed. And I'm, at the end of the day, and I'm part of esports, and I love esports, and I want to help it grow still and everything else. And I've done my fucking time. But, I'm bored of the bullshit. I'm just bored of the bullshit, and I just want to de-weave some of the things that are going on behind the scenes and just be completely honest and just tell you guys this is how it is. And I'm going to use a specific example to just show you how layered and nuanced it can all be. And I'm quite surprised, actually, this story didn't really blow up as big as it could have done, because this was... it was leading. It was a breadcrumb trail towards some big shit. And PA is kind of vaguely linked to it. They come in at the end. It's a nice little twist and turn, Game of Thrones style, boom. But let's talk about it. So you will have noticed recently there was some news announced about Twitch, Evil Geniuses, and Alliance. And I'm just going to bring you up one of the reports here. No preferences shown. This is from the Esports Insider. You can see the way that it was being sold publicly in December. Alliance and Evil Geniuses have become independent player-owned organizations. And it went out on the official Evil Geniuses Twitter that they are now staking their independence. They're out from under Twitch. And this applies to all of them. And Kevin Lin, the COO of Twitch, I should say, rather, said Evil Geniuses and Alliance are two of the most recognizable brands in esports, in no small part because of the vision and infrastructure of Good Game, a company Twitch acquired in 2014. We acquired Good Game for its expertise and leadership in the sponsorship space, and we continue to be captivated by the idea of scaling those services and monetization opportunities to the wider gaming community. We also had an obligation to ensure the teams operated independently and received no preferential treatment on Twitch. Bizarre thing to say, isn't it? I mean, that's a very bizarre opening paragraph in a statement about two brands that are part of an agency that you own leaving. We'll get into that in a second. Today, we're pleased to fully realize that independence, as we announced that both Evil Geniuses and Alliance will become independent player-owned organizations. While they'll still be streaming on Twitch and will continue providing support services, both teams' brands, players' contracts, and futures are now in the hands of the players and the player-selected management. They will have complete independence, and we will work with them as we would any other esports team. So in other words, we no longer own them. Right. So people saw that announcement. and probably didn't think much of it, honestly, because in a very real sense, Evil Geniuses and Alliance just haven't mattered as much as they used to. They're just not the same conquering force that they used to be across esports, and there's a good reason why they haven't moved into certain esports. We're going to talk about that. But certainly, there was a lot going on behind the scenes I don't think people were really aware of. And it's just time to clear all that up now. So this came to a head recently, and I'm going to use the Dota 2 subreddit link, because why not? Because I just like to pay tribute to the great people over there. You can see here that they even... This video by In Control, who is a legendary North American StarCraft player, somebody who I've worked with on multiple occasions, interviewed on multiple occasions, somebody I've always found to be an intelligent and erudite presence in esports. He put a video out where he basically said that a group of owners led by Jack Etienne of Cloud9 said they were going to boycott Twitch if Evil Geniuses picked up a Counter-Strike team. And this is why Evil Geniuses didn't come back to Counter-Strike. Now, naturally, this gave Cloud9 a significant amount of bad press. And because EG are no longer owned by Twitch, and indeed In Control is no longer in EG, which is crazy. I mean, he tweeted about it. Apparently, the new owners didn't even like say goodbye or anything when his contract lapsed. That, you know, if that is true, I think that's disgraceful, because he's been a fantastic servant to that brand. I mean, he's synonymous with EG. But anyway, you know, he put this out there, and people were like, "Ooh, politics. Ooh, Jack Etienne leading things." I mean, that's what Jack does. I mean, he's done that for a long time in North America. There's a reason we lovingly refer to him as the Godfather, you know? He's one of the three kings. Anyone who's followed my video and my reportage for a while will start to get the picture. There are some power players in North America. Jack Etienne is very much one of them. And, you know, he's quite brilliant at what he does. It's not just that, you know, he's muscle or whatever. He's very intelligent, very successful, and has been instrumental in growing a lot of North American brands in that post-apocalyptic wasteland when it was very hard for North American brands to bounce back from, you know, financial problems. So I saw this video come out by In Control, and I was like, fuck, dude. I mean, this is like, you know, it's kind of true. There's definitely some grains of truth in there, and it's like, I just wanted to expand on everything that happened going right back, because I wanted to show how this is so layered, and this is just another day at the esports office, really. There's nothing, you know, this isn't exceptional. This is just how it's done. This is just literally how esports operates. And, you know, it's very incestuous, very claustrophobic. You know, you've got cronyism and nepotism, whatever else you want to call it, going on left, right, and center. So let's go right back to Twitch buying GGA, the Good Game Agency. And, you know, this was a move that really surprised me. So the Good Game Agency was something that Alex Garfield had been very passionate about. I mean, Alex and me don't get along. You know, we've had very limited interactions, but he was one of the first managers to blacklist me. One of the first, or EG with maybe the first, actually. But anyway, I got blacklisted by them because I'd attacked some of the promotions that they did, including the pizza GG fiasco, which was a Papa John's promotion, where we were told, you know, oh, if we hit all these fucking stretch goals, Papa John's will come back and put loads of money in. And EG took forever to give out some of the things they promised, and, you know, there was no proof Papa John's were ever coming back. Indeed, they haven't. And Papa John's were, pretty shitty in terms of how they were treating their employees. They were pressuring them to vote against Obama in an election because they were saying we'll have to fire you if we have to pay the upkeep on Obamacare. And you're going to be like, oh, Richard, aren't you a trumpet? Again, just shows how idiotic you are. I was very much against that. I don't think corporations should try and influence elections or your electoral decision by threatening to fire you. I think that's morally wrong. I know, like, it's so, oh, he is a liberal. No, I've just got a fucking brain. So, and I don't want to get into that shit in this video. Real life politics is even worse than esports politics. But anyway, so Good Game Agency was the brainchild of Alex Garfield. And what they wanted to do was create an agency, right? So by an agency, they were like, we represent talent. We go out, we get them sponsorship deals. We represent teams. We have multiple brands. That's what Alliance were. It was a terrible secret when it first came out that Alliance was just EG in Europe, basically. And what Alex Garfield was trying to do with GGA was buy up other teams. And now I think the other team they represented was Team Tinker. I think I've said erroneously in the past it was Team Secret. I believe they did have talks with Team Secret, but it was actually Tinker, the Dota team that they committed to and had as part of the organization, and they were looking to expand out. Now, a few things happened. First up, Valve actually voiced concerns to Alex Garfield directly in a private meeting prior to one of the internationals, basically saying to him that we don't feel comfortable with this multiple ownership kind of thing going on. And you would need to convince us that you didn't have your fingers in any of these pies. You're allowed one pie, one finger, one pie. But if you want fingers in other pies, all your fingers have to go in one pie, is basically what they were saying. So they made it quite clear that, they would have to revise who could compete if there was any chance of collusion. And Valve are very hands-off with these things, but it was very strongly intimated that this would be an issue. So naturally, Alex had to recuse himself. He had to get off all of the paper and make it really appear that he didn't have anything to do with the day-to-day running. He handed over the keys to great brands, to perhaps some people who weren't fit to run them. And, these organizations kind of were struggling to live up to past glories a little bit, but, they still had great rosters and great potential, great sponsors. They were very fiscally sound. I mean, no organization in North America had been successful as bringing sponsors in as evil geniuses. And sometimes they did it in a scummy way. I mean, what might be considered scummy and unethical. I think it's kind of business and capitalism at work. But, for example, in the past, if you go way, way back, they did things like they heard about another organization talking to somebody else, and they would go and talk to that brand and say, why do you want to sponsor them for? Come sponsor us. We're much bigger. We'll do business. And that's why a lot of team owners really had an issue with Alex Garfield. It was like, we feel wronged by him. I mean, Alex was just doing what EG had to do to be number one, right? I mean, it's business, but some people got their panties in a bunch about that. And I guess depending on which side of the fence you stand on, perhaps you agree that their panties should indeed have been in that bunch. But anyway, so GGA is out there, and Twitch had just been bought by Amazon, $970 million deal. Huge, game-changing for the industry. This was the accelerant. This is the number that gets kicked around every time we tell investors to invest in esports. We say to them, did you remember Amazon? They bought Twitch for $970 million. It still gets thrown around now. It's fucking years old, and we still throw it around now as validation. That's how big a deal it is. This is a historic moment in esports. So this was quickly followed up with Good Game Agency, the brainchild of Alex Garfield, getting bought by Twitch. And I'll just link you to this. I believe this was a .esports report that was kind of put up on a Medium temporarily or something, because the esports is split from the main site or whatever. But you can see here, the world's most popular streaming platform just purchased the world's biggest esports agency. On the heels of its own $1 billion acquisition by Amazon, Twitch has acquired Good Game, an esports agency representing some of the best teams and players in gaming. Now, Alex Garfield said Twitch is a platform we believe in. And there's a few choice quotes in here. Remember this one as we move forward. Garfield also said that Amazon's ownership of Twitch would present the players that he represented a Good Game agency with additional benefits to which they didn't previously have access. And obviously the Daily Dot, we talked about this a lot. The deal immediately raises questions about potential conflict of interest, because obviously there's conflict of interest. Twitch partners with multiple teams and players that compete directly with the teams and players in the Good Game agency. But Kevin Lin, who you'll remember from that statement right at the start of the video, said other teams have nothing to worry about. We will continue to treat all teams and streamers exactly the same as we always have. And he also said the move is about expanding monetization opportunities for content creators and leveraging Good Game's corporate relationships to directly sponsor popular streamers. So he wanted Good Game to be a proper sponsorship manager. That was the whole plan, apparently. That Good Game agency were going to slot into Twitch and manage the sponsorships for all the esports divisions in Twitch. Oh my me. What a misguided fucking idea this was. This is one of the biggest wastes of money in esports history. For real. And we're going to get into that. Now, for me, it made absolutely no sense at the time. I mean, no sense. You're Twitch. You partner with multiple teams. Why would you want to effectively buy your own teams? How could you expect your partners to stand by and think, well, this is fine. You own that team over there and we partner with you. You're definitely not going to give preferential treatment to the team. Of course, even if Twitch didn't, the assumption would be there. And this is what I always say about conflicts of interest. If you can imagine the conflict of interest, something's wrong in the setup. Something's wrong in the hierarchy. Something's wrong in the structure. So Good Game Agency, from my opinion, should never have been bought. It was stupid. And I'm going to tell you that Kevin Lin and Alex Garfield, they were old friends. I mean, they went back. And I've said this. I said it publicly at the time. I'll repeat it because Twitch, they've always been good to me. They let me criticize them. And they've never had an issue with me or try to take me to task like other companies do. I guess that's what happens when you have a cast iron monopoly, though. I mean, who gives a fuck what Richard Lewis says if you Twitch? But Kevin Lin and Alex Garfield went way, way back. And I think Kevin Lin had a big windfall, right? Because he had stock or whatever. And I think it was just a way for one friend who'd had a windfall to pass on a windfall to another old friend. We'll just buy your company. I mean, shit, I can sell it to the higher-ups. You get to cash out, and there you have it. Now, understand what that meant. The acquisition of Good Game Agency meant that literally all of these team owners that were partnered on Twitch were told, inarguably, you must not fight this. Good Game Agency will be handling your sponsorships. We will, you're a partner with Twitch. We will handle your sponsorships. Now, the problem was nobody trusted Alex Garfield to get the best deals for these teams over here when Alex had built these brands over here. And why would you? So immediately everything was off kilter. And people were like, no, I'm not going to acquiesce to that. Fuck that. Alex Garfield of EG is not going to touch my brand. No, thank you, sir. So immediately there was an impasse. Now, just as a side note, there were actual talks that Twitch wanted to create their own leagues and tournaments, like a tournament circuit. And they were thinking about cutting out the middle man that is a team owner, and that's why they went and bought the Good Game Agency. So if you look at like MLG have done this for like Halo brands, right? They own some of the old school Halo franchises, so they can just use their names in their leagues, and they can assign a franchise to a team, and then because of that power, they can say, well, you stream exclusively on MLG TV, etc., etc. It's a power play. Twitch had seen that model and thought, I mean, this is what people were saying. Yeah, maybe we could do that one day. So it was like hedging your bets, And if you think about what Twitch went on to do, how they threw loads of money at this Face It League, ECS, to basically just push back a little bit at ESL and say, exclusivity. It kind of makes sense a little bit that maybe that was an outlying reason that never got discussed. But regardless, the key point here is every fucking owner who was partnered with Twitch, especially in North America, was super pissed about some of the things that were going on. And honestly, there was the issue of this preferential treatment. So think about what we read off Esports Insider with Kevin Lin, where he goes, oh, no, we're so glad and we'll always treat teams the same. And no, and just kept bringing it up for no reason, right? Well, here's something that was happening, and we'll get to some specifics. But EG and Alliance now had extra bargaining power in the marketplace, right? If I'm EG and I go to somebody and say, hey, I'm owned by Twitch, I can guarantee you like X amount of hours on the front page of Twitch to boost your personal stream. I can guarantee, a higher CPM. Because we've got the power, because we are Twitch. Now, all of the other partners didn't have that. They were partners. So yes, TSM allegedly gets the highest CPM, and certain other brands do now, but for a long time, it was TSM way out in front. But now there was this, how high will they go? What percentage of subs will they give? What incentives can they give? Like, if you're just going to put a fucking streamer on the front page of Twitch as many times as he requests, and I'm, say, Cloud9, and I can't guarantee that, well, you've got leverage. So people didn't like that. And this stuff was going on, by the fucking way. I don't care if anyone says it wasn't. It fucking was. And people go, oh, Richard, you always do this. I'm not going to throw a fucking sauce under the bus to win a dick-waving contest. This was happening. You can either believe me with my impeccable, flawless fucking track record, or you can believe the people who've got something to hide who go, oh, but it isn't. Take your pick. I don't give a fuck. All right? So, pushback began. Pushback. And pushback came in the form of people pointing out that actually Good Game wasn't technically an agency at all. They didn't fulfill some of the criteria. Now, I reported this, and it was like another piece of my reporting that just slipped through the cracks. Like, I mean, I would throw out stories like this, and people just wouldn't fucking, it's Richard's at it again, always trying to rock that boat. But this was a big deal, in my opinion. But I'm not beyond saying now, 2 years later or whatever, I'm not beyond saying that there was a lot of people who were very anti-Twitch, very anti-evil geniuses that were kind of assisting in pushing this story into the news. I had a lot of gimmies, and I'm always careful about gimmies. What I mean when I say a gimme is someone just gives you a story. Like, here's the complete story. I've done all the research for you. When can you get it out? And you go, yo, I'm a journalist. I got to do due diligence on this. I got to come up with my own fucking conclusions, make sure it's all solid. No, but we need this out now. What you need is a PR manager, right? What you need is a propaganda minister. I'm none of those things. But sometimes gimmies do turn out to be good. It's good intel. It's a good story. It's in the public interest. And even though someone has given it to you to serve their own agenda, it serves the public, so fuck it. I'll put it out there. I know why it's a gimme, but that doesn't alter the newsworthiness of the fact. And again, I don't know if anyone's ever talked about gimmies, but like they go on all the time in esports. I mean, shit, I get just phone calls. Have you seen what this guy's doing over there? Yeah. Well, did you know this? Have you got proof? Yeah, have it. Run that story. Burn that fucker to the ground. Well, why? Because he's taking my business away. Okay. So it's very hard, I always try to think about it like Varys, right? Appropriate, because I'm a bald eunuch. But, like, I try and serve the realm of esports, and sometimes, someone who is making a power play is going to give me something that will serve the greater good, but I got to watch it, it's fucking hard. This was one of those moments. This is when, boom, there was just lots of pushback about it. And you can see here that did Twitch actually buy a talent agency? We spoke to some legal people because California, obviously being the heart of the entertainment industry, has got laws specifically to govern the operation of talent agencies. So all over its website, Good Game was calling itself a talent agency because it had to try and hide the esports conflict of interest. But in doing that, it opened up another can of worms. And look, you can see the description here. It's a talent acquisition and management company, and it promises to help people who want to work with the most popular, influential gamers in and around video games. We'll connect your brand with their reach. And Twitch, in its official announcement, described it as an all-in-one talent and content company focused on gaming and esports. Over the past decade, its staff of industry veterans has worked with teams, represented players, managed tournaments, created content, and brought numerous marquee advertisers into the gaming space. So, what we quickly did was, this was me and the legal team over at the Daily Dot. We started digging into stuff because I was intrigued at the ramifications of this. And it wasn't on the talent agency's license database, which means it wasn't officially licensed as a talent agency. There's no evidence that Alex Garfield, who had a bachelor's degree in sociology from Pomona College in 2008, ever held a talent license. And under California Talent Agencies Act, all talent agencies are required to be licensed by the state labor commissioner. So Garfield, Good Game, and Twitch all just didn't respond to this comment. But we talked to an entertainment lawyer at Greenberg Gluska's Entertainment Group, because obviously it's a very specific field of law. And they said, Matt Galzer was the name of the attorney, said technically it's a misdemeanor, but no one would prosecute under this law. They can still qualify as a talent manager and do management work. It's not answerable just by knowing about their business and looking at the law. So there were other potential consequences. Most principally that the contracts could be invalidated with its clients, and even commissions could be put at risk. And we talked to another entertainment attorney, Beverly Robin Green. Persons acting as unlicensed talent agents used to be subject to criminal liability. And under current law, they still stand the very real risk of having their contract declared illegal and unenforceable and losing all their commissions. This is true even if the talent agent services were only incidental to other services. And there was a ruling in 2005. California courts have uniformly held a contract under which an unlicensed party procures or attempts to procure employment for an artist in violation of the Talent Agencies Act, and the party procuring the employment is barred from recovering commissions for any activities under the contract. Now, all you have to do to get a license is pay $225, get a background check, and then your offices become open to inspection and blah, blah, blah. So this was a really long report that I wrote up. I was pretty proud of it. I thought this was a really solid piece of journalism. My boy Sam Lingle helped. Obviously, my editor helped, Kevin Morris. So this was, I thought, a great piece of journalism. I was really, really proud of this. No one remembers it. No one gives a fuck. And no one gives a fuck because, obviously, you're taking on the behemoth of Twitch. You're rocking that beautiful money boat. And, yeah, sure, this was the pushback. This was the, right, gotcha, fam. This was the start, that story, and the fallout from that, which industry people were like, that's a great report, it's very important, yes. Twitch people were kind of like, meh. The fallout for that was kind of the start. That was the start that it was very clear Good Game Agency were going to have no license over Twitch partners. It was not going to fly. They were not going to, acquiesce to this demand. And anybody who tried to do anything from the EG side, from the GGA side, was just going to be met by stiff resistance. And they would continually be going public, and they would be citing this as a reason. So that's what happened. Now, All of that's gone on in the background. I mean, again, fucking hell. This is mad, isn't it? This is like Game of Thrones level shit. Now we get to the good stuff. Because EG did want a team. They absolutely did want a CS team. Here was the fucking problem. They wanted iBuyPower. But they didn't want iBuyPower as was. Obviously, Nitro used to be in iBuyPower. And I don't know if they wanted more star power or they wanted more firepower or they wanted a role player. But everybody in iBuyPower at that time felt Hiko was going to be a better fit. Obviously, that's Hiko now of Optic. Shouldn't need any introduction if you follow my videos. He was contracted to Cloud9. Still contracted to Cloud9. And iBuyPower went out and there was some fuckery going on in the background. And there was a big event coming up in the form of MLG Aspen. And here it is. Hiko was going to sub for iBuyPower. This is how it had to be framed publicly. He had to be a stand-in because he was contracted to Cloud9. Now, there have been all sorts of stuff going on internally between Hiko, Cloud9, all of this other stuff. Money was a factor. There was some other stuff. I mean, I think we all know Hiko wasn't particularly happy with the team and the way it was performing, and all he wanted was a successful team. But here was the thing. Despite all of this stuff I've just told you about, all of the problems, EG went, and there was a boot camp in Sweden that Hiko was at, and during this, because obviously Alliance and people were over in Sweden as well, they approached Hiko secretly while he was at this boot camp and basically said, hey, do you want to come in? We're going to pick up the iBuyPower team, and you can be in it and we'll pick you up. There was also some talk about, hey, you know, could we take the MLG Aspen spot from Cloud9? You know, that's unconfirmed. That was, again, some of the rumors that were out there. But because EG had gone out and approached Hiko, this was a huge cause of fucking consternation, in particular for Jack Etienne, but all the North American owners, because this was not part of the fucking deal. Here you have an organization talking to a contracted player at a boot camp secretly to create a team. Now, this is why what Jeff said, what In Control said, is accurate but not accurate. So this fucking blew up. I mean, it was causing all sorts of problems internally. It was very clear that they were going to leave. They wanted, you know, like Cloud9 were like, this, we're out and we're going to posse up. But here's the mad thing that happened. Match fixing occurred, didn't it? And you'll remember that I broke that story just a bit, and it turned out that the ex-iBuyPower players were indeed guilty of fixing a match in SIVA, and we'd been told that there was action pending. I had it on very good authority that Valve were looking at it, and all the evidence I'd sent them, it was going to get acted upon. Now, you'll remember, again, if you want any proof of this, iBuyPower pulled out, and that meant Hiko wasn't going to play there either. That whole team was done. And you'll remember Kelly Milkies, who was the manager of Alliance, she was tweeting a bunch of nonsense about, Richard Lewis ruins lives, and these unconfirmed rumors. No. Well, she'd booked the fucking travel and all that. You know, she'd handled all of it. She'd handled all the business for EG. That's why she was super salty about it. I mean, that and she's a fucking cretin. But, you know, that was all done. Now, you know, this shows that it was a done deal. EG had effectively signed that team. You know, they weren't in iBuyPower anymore. They were the ex-iBuyPower guys. I think they were playing under some shit name, like, what was it, Hugh Jazz Construction? I don't know, fuck knows. But that was what happened. And then they had to pull out of this tournament because everybody knew, right? MLG knew, I knew it was coming. The fucking rain was going to come down. Just while we're telling esports stories and talking about politics and all that. I've said this before. I'll repeat it for the purposes of this video. I actually called Hiko. I called Hiko, I think, I'm trying to think, was it before this announcement or afterwards? It was round about the announcement. And I said to him, I said, look, brother, they're all going to get banned. Trust me on that. You should distance yourself from this team. And if you can, you should go back to Cloud9 because I like you, Spencer. I don't want to see you get hurt or caught up in this. I don't want that negative connotation to rub off on you. You're a good guy, never had a problem with you. And we talked on the phone or over Skype, and he said, look, dude, like, even if I wanted to go back to fucking Cloud9, there's no way to unburn that bridge. It's fucked. It's irreparably fucked. And he'd been struggling with that contract to get out of it, to join EG. Now that wasn't an option anymore, and he was going to have to go back and be a sub or a streamer or whatever the contract gulag term was back in 2015. That he was sad, and I felt bad for him. He'd done nothing wrong. In a different timeline, that team joins EG, probably goes on to be the best in North America, maybe even competes with Europe and picks up some trophies along the way. It's sad. It's sad how it worked out, but that is the nature of the beast, unfortunately. Now, all of that said, this is the sticking point, because after that, EG were like, well, fuck it, we need a CS team. So they then went out and talked to the Danes of Team Dignitas, the ones who went on to become TSM. Now, Jack's got to be in his bonnet because they tapped up a contracted player despite being owned by Twitch. So you've got this effective situation where a Twitch-owned org is trying to take a player who was contracted to an org that is partnered with Twitch. Right? So that's why Jack was pissed off. There's no way to slice that and make it look nice. You can say maybe Jack's being petty, but let's be real. You can understand maybe a little bit why he'd be pissed off. I think this is the scumbag move. Evil Geniuses started to talk to Team Dignitas, the Danes, and Reginald of TSM wanted them as well, right? Because that's where they ended up going. And when he realized EG was competing with them, he went to Jack and said, yeah, well, I'll definitely come on board with anything you do. Because he didn't want the fucking competition. He didn't want to risk losing them. So I thought that was more scummy. But basically, Reggie felt threatened and identified an opportunity to basically posse up with Jack, who I think had a legitimate grievance. So at that juncture, that was when this boycott was supposed to happen. Now, it wasn't a boycott per se. They were just going to leave the platform. They just wanted out. They were just like, you know what, Twitch, fuck you. Fuck you for allowing this to happen. Fuck you for empowering the people over here to do this. We want out. We're done. And we're going to go. And it was going to be like, TSM, Team Liquid, Cloud9. CLG was out of that cool gang by then because they'd done a bunch of shit. So they were going to leave. And I don't know if there was any others. Maybe Curse. I don't know. Anyway, it was a bunch. Definitely those three. It was the three kings again, and they were going to leave. So they wanted out. And Twitch, obviously, this is a big deal. This is your biggest brands in North America are going to go to a rival platform. Now, they'd said they were going to take a 6-month bridge contract with Azubu as a temporary measure, because obviously they're not stupid. They know Azubu was just there. It was just a rival platform. It was a rival service. But it would have given Azubu a big shot in the arm, so Azubu were happy to have him and paid him an exorbitant amount of money because, at Azubu, it's it's just people don't get their money, so we'll pay you anything. But when it's not in our bank account, you don't get it. And also, if you remember, there was rumors about the YouTube gaming relaunch doing a big push. Another story I broke, that they were going to come back and they were going to focus on esports. So the plan from these team owners was to leave Twitch, maybe go to Azubu, and then as soon as YouTube did a big announcement, go over to them. And Twitch were like, well, fuck, this is actually pretty bad. This could be potentially bad for us. Now, this is just another little interesting aside. because of the organizations having such prominence within League of Legends and Riot Games having such strong ties with Twitch, Riot was so worried about these brands leaving Twitch and wanted to offer help for Twitch, allies, you know. They sent in a mediator to try and hug it all out, and it was Brandon Beck. And they all sat around the table and they were like, come on, guys, let's just keep making money, man. You know, and let's all be friends, man. Give each other a hug. You know, this like laughable, you know, like, I mean, he's not fucking Henry Kissinger, is he? You know, he's a fucking incompetent. But, so that was what happened, you know. And in the end, it was smoothed over. Let's keep making money. But at that time, there was a distinct promise that this would never happen again. And Alex Garfield and everyone at EG and everyone at Alliance got told, nah, it's off the fucking table. There's just no way we can make this work and have them stay. So that's the point where, boop, off come your spuds, you've been neutered, you can't do anything. And ultimately, again, this is the only way it could have panned out. It was a stupid acquisition. It was pointless. It was just a way to give money to somebody who you felt deserved money. And that's great. I mean, Alex Garfield already had money. Now he's got fuck you for the rest of his life money. Great, brilliant. Wasn't a good move for the business, though. It's important to point out that there were two sides to this. Now, obviously, they moved past all of this. And I remember there were a little bit of ructions. You know, Jack, Reginald, they were talking about that conflict of interest and how they didn't feel it was fair to have teams represented by Twitch. Because, you know, or GGA rather, because they were partnered with Twitch, so how could there not be a conflict of interest? And they were vocal about it, not too much, but vocal enough. And then they moved past it because we all know what comes next, right? So you remember the good old exclusivity deal. Yes, you do. You definitely remember this one. So here we have it. There was the exclusivity where it was ESL, Vulcan, and Twitch, and all the top CSGO teams all met in Twitch's offices. And prior to this, like Katowice and all that stuff, they were getting wined and dined, all the teams. Kevin Lynn, again, was taking these team owners out and being like, let's make this exclusivity league. And, you know, so this was all happening. And it was in Twitch's offices. And, you know, guess who was there? Well, it was, you know, you'll see these names. You'll see TSM. You'll see Cloud9. See Team Liquid. So they'd obviously moved past it by this point, and let's just make money. And that was you know, April 2015. So that's kind of the time frame on it all. But you will notice that despite this huge exclusivity league and Twitch owning these two brands, which could have had phenomenal CS teams, not in there. Wasn't allowed. That was not going to happen. There was going to be no resurrection for Evil Geniuses or Alliance, not while you were partnered with these guys who were the new big players in North America. It's all very Crusader Kings too, isn't it? I love it. So this is where it gets a little bit hypocritical right at the end of the story, the twist, and that is the announcement that despite being so viciously resistant to the idea of Twitch representing teams directly because of the conflict of interest it creates, what happens next? Well, of course, it's okay when we do it because Twitch partnered with TSM and Cloud9 on direct sponsorships. And people are going, oh, but they were always partners. So this is in November 2016. They were always partnered, but no, my friends. This is a different deal to a regular partnership. You can see Twitch announced Friday a new partnership with Cloud9 and TSM that will help both major esports organizations court non-endemic sponsors. Such sponsors are brands that do not generally sell gaming-oriented products such as computer peripherals. So our goal is to help introduce more sponsors into the space through broad reach. That includes media and now sponsorships. And that was what Kevin Lynn said. And we're thrilled Twitch will be representing TSM for future sponsorships. TSM Chief Executive Andy Reginald Din said via a press release. We're thrilled. We're thrilled about it. We weren't thrilled about it when it was EG and Alliance. We're thrilled about it now that it's us, though. I mean, fucking thrilled. So, you died a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain, right? So that's what was going on there. And I just thought that was fucking really strange, that you would then go and do that and sort of give Twitch that influence, that dominion over your brand when you fought kind of so vehemently to prevent that happening. I'm sure they'd tell me it's very different to what was going on with GGA. I'm not so convinced. So, politics, esports politics. Just to tie this up in a nice little circle, put a bow on it, you move on to the PEA debacle. And obviously, again, you've got on PEA that same group, that North American cartel. And you can probably see now why things got so heated, because you've got Scootsy Wootsy, that's, Scott Sir Scoot Smith, representing the players. Now he represents EG to the core in the eyes of these managers and team owners. And what's funny is, I think Scott left EG in like 2012, so it's not like he's been there for a while, but, he is a representative of that old guard, so they hated that. And not only that, the newly appointed Evil Genius's CEO, PPD, the Dota player, Peter Dager, has been advising players in an unofficial capacity in this like Skype group they have and whatnot for quite some time. So again, the PEA war was just a continuation of GGA, EG, Alliance versus the new school. And in that sense, I guess at the end with PEA failing, perhaps maybe EG and Alex Garfield have had the last laugh. I'm pretty confident we haven't seen the last of Alex Garfield, and I'm pretty confident when he does decide to show his true form and return like a phoenix from the flames, I'm pretty sure that it's going to get people's noses out of joint. But anyway, until that day, we shall wait. So look, I just wanted to put all this together to kind of flesh out what In Control was saying, because I think that's important to show both sides of the argument, and that this was a complete clusterfuck from start to finish, but also just to illustrate esports politics is a fucking tangled web, and it's impossible to stay neutral a lot of the time. You will find yourself on one side of the equation or the other. This wasn't even the worst of it, and you can already see the layers. So I thought it was important. You know me, I always give you the straight dope. So thanks a lot for watching. Take care of yourself, and I will see you on the next video.